Hello everybody, I hope you guys had it's a great aftermath of Christmas now, so we're trying to get that passed because the New Year is about to come. And what better way to bring in the New Year than to bring it in with some really cool lighting. So, the boys at Ezdiy Fab created this. Now this is ARGB, so digital RGB strips. There's two ways to call it. ARGB is addressable, so that means you can address each light or multi per LED, whereas an RGB is a solid color or just doing what it does randomly from based on what it was programmed to do. In this case, you can do what you want it to do as best you can. So today we're going to unbox, take a look, fire it up, find out, are these guys just that lighting you're looking for? So sit back, relax. If you're not subscribed, hit that bell as well so you can see what's coming up in the next little while, because man, do I have a fun ride for you guys. But once you open the box, you are greeted with the bag with the addressable RGB strips and the bag with the, looks like, power connector and remote control. So this may have its own basic setup. You may not need anything else other than this to run it. It looks like there's a controller built in right here. And if that's the case, this is going to be so easy. So let's check it out. Let's get them hooked up and go from there. Before we get started, one nice thing about this is it can be very standalone, which is great. So it does come with the included controller, as we've seen in the open box, and it has its own controller. So what I've been noticing when it comes to addressable RGB versus anything is the software that's usually built in to your product's vendor. Like if it's a Gigabyte, then you're going to be dealing with a Fusion 2.0. If it's MSI, and you're dealing, believe it's Mystic Light or whatever, and so on. Asus have their own and whatever. And I find they're very, I'm going to use the word limited and not as cool. What I've noticed with, especially with Ezdiy Fab, is that usually the programmable stuff that is built into the programmers are usually much better than what you can actually get out of programming it yourself. So let's get it started, let's get it hooked up, and we'll go from there. And one thing I'd like to point out, and I wish vendors and manufacturers would stop doing this, but this is using a Molex, as you can see here, not a SATA connector. And that's something that I feel lackluster in this situation, because this is something that should be pretty much done away with by now. But thank God power supplies still have at least one or two of them on it, because it just doesn't seem to be going away. So they are magnetic. I don't know how strong that is. It looks like there's also tape. So you can tape them down. And it's also kind of like a magnetic strip to it. So I guess if you want to kind of place it in place, or you have a case, of course, that is magnetic, you could just stick it on without having to fix it permanently. And if it's not magnetic, like in an aluminum case, then you would just peel this off and stick it. So they gave you both worlds there. You can see that they are addressable. They're a 3-pin header, if that shows up proper. Not a 4-pin, which most people make a mistake on. And I'm not going to say anything, but I have seen people plug them into the wrong port. And I'm like, how did you do that, considering they were literally a 3-pin, not a 4-pin? But happens. So you get a splitter by the look of it, which is kind of cool actually, because on this controller there's actually two. Is it both? So one's male, one is female. So on here you have two males, and that is two females. So technically you can add to this controller. I wouldn't go adding too much, but it looks like you can definitely daisy chain and add to it. So it gives you room for at least another one. Alright, so when you get your controller, of course, pull the tab. I know, really crazy, mind-blowing, but necessary to say it. We're going to get this all wired up now, and we're going to go from there. Nice thing about addressable versus RGB is you cannot put it on the board wrong. With the RGB 4-pin, people get pin 1 and pin 4 mixed up, and they're like, oh, I got no lights, but I plugged it in. What's going on? Well, it's reversed. So that happens. And in this case, it can't happen because there's no way to make that happen. Okay, so now as you can see here, this is freaking cool. So right now, it's just going through its own thing. I'm excited because I've never had addressable strips. Addressable fans? Yes. But not strips. Look at how cool this is. Like, I'm just going to turn the light off here. Oops. Probably should turn off all the lights. Look at that go. So, I don't know what to say here. This is some pretty cool stuff. So, I'm going to try different modes. Well guys, I don't know about you, but I am very impressed with these. I ran through some of the modes. I didn't want to go through too many of them because it was just taking forever. There's so many modes on this, and that is just as easy as hitting the mode plus or the mode minus. As I said, doing modes on this is probably easier with this. And one thing I want to add here, so I turn them off, turn them on. What you got to understand is this is not a point at the sensor remote. This is an RF remote, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to point at it. You can hide the controller. You don't have to see it at all. So all I got to say here is that Ezdiy DIY Fab has created quite a stir for me because this is very impressive for $24. So guys, I will leave a link down below if you're looking for something like this. Very inexpensive way to really light your case in a very cool way. So guys, let me know in the comments below. Did this meet your expectations? It did mine. This gets a double thumbs up from the LastGameHunter. I'm very happy. I can't wait to build my new build. There's some new builds coming. And yeah, until next time guys, take it easy, stay safe, game over.